Hey tribe, Jessica Mitchell here with Living Divina Yoga and Fitness Studio. Today we were focusing on some really cool movement in our vinyasa class, and one thing that I found that it can be really difficult in doing is our sleeping pigeon and turn it into mermaid pose. It is something that you need to be patient with yourself, and I would love to break down this posture for you and see if it's something that you want to start practicing on your own and incorporating this into your own practice. So let's begin. There are a few ways to get into your mermaid pose. One thing that I find a lot of instructors teach is doing a downward facing dog, right? So we're pulling that navel in, knees are pointing to the earth. So if they're inward rotation, adjust them here. Find a really strong downward facing dog. But what I find is hard is that people kick up, they get into their three-legged dog. Now, not everyone's able to do this. Bring the knee in towards the chest, turn that leg out so your knee is pointing out to the side, and you're gonna shift forward and land your leg here. Now, not everybody has the flexibility or the mobility to do that, where you're walking back, right? Sometimes what we find happens is we're here, and then you bring it in and you can only get it this far. And then now you're adjusting, you're coming down, and you're working your way up. Feels a little counterproductive, feels a little defeating, right? So an easier way to get in, instead of doing down dog, you can find your seat. I love to find more like a little bit past the middle part of my mat, get into this position where my legs are just simply staggered. Now, I have some people who cannot extend a leg behind them. That's okay. Today, maybe you just stagger your legs and you come down here, and this is your pigeon. You'll still get some benefits in those hips and open them up. Otherwise, walk your leg forward. Your leg wants to be parallel with the edge of your mat. Now, when I say that to my students, they force themselves sometimes, and I have to come around and say, hey, if you prop yourself up and your leg starts coming in, then let it, right? You can't force it. You don't want to do anything to hurt yourself. So my leg is here parallel. Flex your foot. Super important. This is a point, this is a flex. You'd be surprised how many people do this when I say flex your foot. You want to flex your foot, right? What do you do when you flex your foot? You're recruiting these muscles tied into the kneecap here. So not only are you flexing your foot to help protect the hip, you're protecting the knee. So staggering legs, walk yourself up, flexing your foot, positioning your leg, prop yourself up. Now, I'm doing this side stretch so that you can see where my leg goes. I like to tuck my toes, walk it back. Now, for me, my leg does come in a little bit. That's totally fine. For some people, you're able to get it parallel to the edge of the mat, but that's not everybody's truth, right? So as I'm sitting here, I already feel a release. I feel my ligaments here, my inner thigh, really starting to want to let go. So I'm going to tuck my toes a little bit more and walk it back, even if it's just a centimeter. So I'm sitting nice and tall. I see a lot of this, right? Because you're trying to protect those hips, and this might be a little difficult. Grabbing a block or bolster to prop up the floor to press your hands onto is totally a doable thing. That is definitely something you can do. Now, here I am. Option is to start first on the forearms and look forward. You can always clasp the hands, but don't do it so tight that you end up messing with your blood pressure. Stack fists, open up elbows. You can rest your forehead here, or maybe you're flexing like me, or getting there, right? It's a journey. You can extend the arms and drop the head down. So many options for our sleeping pigeon. So you might have to just stay here, and that's okay. Can you stay propped up here? Sometimes taking those hands to the side and propping yourself up is another option. Even using a block underneath this hip to prop yourself up is another option. So many different benefits for this. You're really going to open up the hips depending on how you distribute the weight. So working into our mermaid pose, okay? Now, I've done my sleeping pigeon. I like to take this right hand in front, not to the side, but just for some stability. Don't open up the hips to the side. Keep them squared. Extending the left arm. So I have a lot of length from my fingertips down my body to the toes. Lift that left foot up. Sweep the arm back. Catch the inside, not the outside. The inside of the foot. Square the hips, because sometimes the side body wants to open here. Square those hips. You can pull the heel in to get a deeper quad stretch. This is the challenge, right? Is when your hand lifts off. Now, sometimes, in the beginning of this, you might just have to stay here. So I like to hook my foot inside the part of my elbow and bring my arm forward for a little balance and sweep my arm back, looking forward here, clasping fingers, and here's mermaid pose. Now, keep pressing the back of your skull into the arm. And then kindly, slowly, release yourself out of it, shift your hips over, and come out of it. Do a little sway, whoo, yeah, that's challenging. Yep, good stuff. So that's a breakdown of how to get into your sleeping pigeon, working into your mermaid pose, safely getting in and out of it, using props if you need it. Being patient with yourself is so vital for you to get into this posture. It took me a long time on my own journey to get to where I'm at. It's just a matter of saying yes and trying something new. Be patient with yourself, create some muscle memory on the journey your body will not forget, and it'll remember every time you revisit these things on your mat. Hope you learned something new, maybe you took on a new challenge, and I hope to see you in class here someday. You can check us out at livingdivinastudio.com/home. Book a class if you've never been here before. Try a class on us. Hope to see you soon. Namaste.